At this time, I'll open the public forum for anyone who wants to speak about something that's not on the agenda.
Oh, can I just, oh, I think everyone.
This time I'll open.
Just a heads up or a FYI, the city council reviewed the two appealed. So the applicants appealed the short-term rental CUP denials from last month's planning commission. And last week, the city council reviewed them and overturned Bryson and upheld the denial on Main Street.
Thank you.
I wanted to bring up some issues or whatever, and I didn't know how to do that on the agenda. I thought we would do it before, like a consent agenda or approving minutes or any of that other type of stuff that we have.
Maybe towards the end after the item.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I think with that in,
Let's get him out of here.
okay,
And then we'll
but
do it.
can we make a change to the agenda where we add like other business so we can bring up stuff like that, or we don't?
Do you want to agendize something? Is what you're asking?
Just say, do we have any other business like updates or stuff like that? So there's a placeholder on the meeting agenda, like they do the city council meeting.
Could we just do, could we like planning update or commissioner
That's
comments
good.
and reports? Or
That's
something?
fine. Works for me. Yes.
I just asked to do it at the end, so I mean,
Yeah.
we're not holding other people up.
No, but is
Well,
Lucy
we
gonna
can-
want to hear it?
Gus, yeah. Is that
Well-
okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Anything else, or do we want to jump into this guy?
With the consent agenda.
Consent agenda, we have the planning commission meeting minutes from September 8th. Any comments or?
Oh, yes, I did. The minutes?
Yep.
We're talking about? Okay, and this was part of the issues. I have kind of a little thing I want to talk about. Let me get to it. All right, it is page 4 of the minutes under public hearings. And it's the bolded area. Motion to deny land use permit application as it does not meet with finding 1. The proposed use of property is essential, desirable to the public convenience or welfare because it will be an important tourist-related service by the community. I think that the larger conversation, and then maybe it doesn't belong here, but we specifically addressed 1, 2, 3, and 5. And so I just feel that that doesn't accurately reflect all the conversations nor issues that related to those brought up by the community that showed up at that very.
So that's
lengthy
a
discussion.
really, why don't we come back to that at the end? Because I think it's an important thing to talk about a little bit.
Okay.
Can I
yeah.
just also make, I listened back to the whole meeting and the motion specifically is number 1. But I agree, all of those things were discussed
Right.
in the conversation.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
process at the end because it's really
Okay,
important.
I just thought that that would be an amendment.
No,
Well,
you have to,
Minutes, but that's.
You have to make
One that made the
explicit-
motion. I know I specifically stated number 1 as
Okay.
my reason for denial.
Right. so you can talk about anything that what the public says doesn't really matter. You say, I'm making a motion to
Okay.
do X, Y, Z. That is the motion.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
Yep.
Then I'll bring up some other issues and
Yep.
I have on my,
Okay.
fine. I'm okay with the minutes then. Unless
Is that a motion to approve the minutes?
motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes?
I,
Aye. No opposed, 1 absent. Kirkley absent.
Yeah.
For that. So moving into the request for the variance for 244 Oak Court. You want to kick us off?
Yes,
Karen?
and so,
I'm gonna recuse myself, Commissioner Mulvey, because I have an adjoining property boundary.
yes,
Sorry,
what, I didn't hear what she said. She has a
she
conflict.
lives next door to them. That she can. To excuse herself. And it's hard, I mean, for recuse, it's so far distance. I mean, obviously we know
Yeah.
most of these people, it's a small town,
Right.
but if you are within
500 feet.
500 feet.
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
recuse yourself.
And it's that there is potential like financial conflict.
Oh, no, I
Yeah.
just didn't hear her.
Okay,
And that,
yeah.
I'm not arguing with.
Just explaining it too. Okay, so the application before you tonight is a request for a variance at 244 Oak Court. The applicant is requesting a reduced front yard setback. 25 feet is required in the R1 zone, and they are requesting a 5-foot, 11.5-inch setback to accommodate the construction of carport. The carport is proposed to be about 528 square feet. So in order to approve a variance, there needs to be certain circumstances on a site that make it different than others within the vicinity, and that by applying the strict zoning regulations, they would not have the same kind of rights as everyone else. So as you can see, this property is at the end of a cul-de-sac, which is much more difficult to build on a cul-de-sac lot than it would be a square or rectangular lot. And I went out there, and even here, it's kind of a cul-de-sac. It kind of just like goes into their property. So it doesn't even feel like there's a kind of hard cul-de-sac edge to this site and the surrounding areas. That where the carport is located is currently where their garage is, so they are not expanding that covered or the impervious coverage area. And based on the shape of their lot, locating a carport elsewhere on the property would require losing their front yard, removal of trees, removal of the fence. And so this does seem like the most appropriate spot for a covered parking carport, and included are plans. And it shows that the carport will be matching the existing appearance of the house. And you can see it would just go right in front of where that window is. Included in the staff report is a resolution, and as an attached resolution are the necessary findings that must be made to grant a variance. And I have expanded on those findings. If the planning commission agrees with them, they can make these findings and approve the request for a variance. Would anyone like me to go through the findings? Have you all had a chance to read them? Any questions about what makes this situation unique?
Not for myself. At this point, I'll open up to the public forum. Anyone who would like to speak from the public on if you want to talk at all, you're welcome to. You don't have to. But if you do, please come up to the mic.
Wasn't really prepared to say anything.
You don't have to.
Other than, so about a year ago, I had plans drawn up for a 2-car garage with a carport in the front yard to the right of where you're looking. And the setbacks didn't work out,
Yeah.
so that got crushed. So this was my plan B. That's it. I mean, I had plans drawn up. You probably have them. I had an architect do it, so
I think I maybe reviewed them.
prior.
Past.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it was gonna same variance, and yeah.
And I get it was too much. It was, yeah, that was probably not a good idea. I think this is a good option for Plan B. But anyway, it's going to be nice. It's all professional. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to say.
According to that picture, is it on the other side, kind of like where the red truck is, or I'm trying to understand by looking at.
So it's going to be, I think it's 22 feet. So that there's a covered area to the right where the red door is. That's gone. I took that out. So it's going to be kind of right where that window is, where it looks gray, but it's kind of a tan color. It's going to be right in front of that. And it's going to be on the existing driveway
Yeah.
because
Okay,
that
so
used to
it's
be a
in
garage.
front of what used to
that
be your
window.
driveway that you converted it.
Yeah, that used to be a garage. Correct.
Okay, so you're gonna just put it directly in front of it.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if it was said, but Was that Mr. Pinelli just speaking? Okay, just so the records. Thanks.
At this time, I'll close the public hearing. Anything from the commissioners on discussion or motions?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
Can I give a quick, I don't know if Tom's going to talk about it. So I move to approve the resolution, like based
26.
on the findings in the resolution. And then that way we're covering the findings in the motion.
Perfect.
I move to approve the resolution based on the findings in the resolution.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime you guys give us tips or tricks, we always appreciate them. We're definitely not the professionals, you definitely are. So anytime you want to talk to us about quorums or
I just think it's always a good, even with the easy ones, good practice to include the details that are needed.
when we have a larger
Yeah.
hostile audience. We appreciate it.
Second.
First and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. One abstention, one not here, absent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And then
Perfect.
Lucy can come back.
Thank you.
in.
Well done. Yeah, I was gonna say,
You were all done.
you're good.
You're good.
I know, we're quick. We're not very brutal. We figured, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be here if they had a problem.
They'd be here otherwise.
So I have one neighbor to the right, Bowers, and the other neighbors, Williams, are their names? His brother is.
Doing it.
Oh.
And so you're.
Political
you get the
decision.
Building permit in 10 days, after the 10-day appeal period. And so after that, we'll be able to issue a building permit. I don't know
Okay.
where you are, your building plans. It looks like you're pretty much that you have them ready.
Okay, yes, so we're good.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Here.
At this point, anything else from anyone?
I'd say maybe adjourn the meeting and then we could have the discussion.
Can we have a discussion off the record with
I wanted,
all of us here? Reviewing my
It
own
wasn't
questions?
really agendized, so
so it has to be on the agenda for.
we can go ahead and do it. It's fine. We'll just have a quick commissioner comment section, I guess.
Okay, I wanted to pass these out. I'm sorry, Tom, I haven't seen you at other meetings except the last meeting and when I got, so I didn't bring you a copy because I didn't know it was standard practice for you to be here or not. So I got one for both of you guys.
You can have
but-
to share one.
Well, there's only 3 of you guys, so I have enough.
Oh. They'll share one.
So anyhow, I wanted to bring up a couple of issues. One thing, from participating in the city council meeting. And it all came to the forefront, I think, for me in looking at issues because of the last meeting, and then also because of the nature of the decision-making process, lengthy one at that, that we had related to the short-term rental on 23 Main Street. So one thing is, I'm asking the city, I don't know, do I call you staff or?
Yeah.
Yeah, the staff is that in the future, should there be an appeal, that we ask, that we have final approved minutes that are before the council for the decision-making process. And then also, because we only made a motion on one, it didn't look like we did a very thoughtful planning process. And none of the information was there that was comment.
Let me interject. From what I heard from your objections, they weren't in a line specifically with city ordinances, and we can be sued over that. So I just want to be very, very clear in the future. When you discuss these, you have to be very bland and only talk, don't make it personal, don't talk about the town, talk about who's here and the interests of the zoning ordinances.
Well, then that is the perfect segue for what I have to bring here. But no matter what I have to say is there was a robust discussion. What swayed the city council, in my opinion, was, I can't remember the woman's name, was the historic nature of the community. And I did bring that up, but those aren't in our, what I will call our reso language. Because the other part, so I think we need to have detailed minutes too, not for everything, but like the city council requested on one of their issues, and I didn't know what it was because I don't think we should be using acronyms all the time when it's a meeting open to the community and we had that many people,
Yep.
because I didn't know what the heck you were talking about on certain things.
So, so the video record is part of the minutes. That's the verbatim, word for word. We do what's called
Action.
action minutes, which are very short.
Yeah.
They're not going to capture a robust discussion.
Well,
And again, I think in
That's
terms of,
So could there be a footnote in it that says for full discussion, see video under it?
well,
I think at the top of the minutes, we link the video link as part of the minutes.
I think part of it is according to, I can't think of it right now, we are supposed to make our meetings as open as possible to the general public and the contents thereof. And in my opinion, it's not very user-friendly and very realistic, even for some of those council members, because they didn't listen to the minutes on a video recording, that if there are issues, like this gentleman's stuff today, we approved it, whatever. It's like made a motion to do this, okay, we approved it. We didn't have to get in, well, all the other little details that came up. But you yourself said we've never had such a lengthy discussion that you knew of
Had much-
regarding,
We've had much longer.
well,
discussion.
somebody said that.
Yeah, I've had much longer discussions on Airbnbs.
I know.
Everyone kept saying that. That was a.
Well, then I don't know who said that,
I,
but it was brought up at the
it
meeting.
was.
To me, I said it was the longest.
Okay.
The most amount of objections, not the longest meeting, but the most amount of public objections.
Yeah, so I guess the point that I'm trying to make is if there is something like that, the reason why I think it's a good basis is because the short-term rental is a hotbed that we realize needs to be, should have a new ordinance or more detailed or a revised, modified ordinance.
So Laura,
Potentially.
appreciate you bringing this up. I think what we can talk about right now is like process in general. And then if you guys want to have a discussion about specifically short-term rentals, we could bring that back and actually
Agenda.
get some of your ideas about what could go into an ordinance. But
Well-
I think the one thing to realize, which again, just if you can hear what I'm saying, when the public speaks to you, that's not part of the record. What's important is how you guys talk to each other. Like specifically on that short-term ordinance, I remember you were kind of like looking at me and talking. It's really your vote between each other. And so it's really important to say, what are the reasons when you make a motion? You shouldn't just say, I can't make findings 1 through 5. That's also not good because it doesn't sound like you have a reason for each. You should say like, I can't make finding 1 because of this. I also can't make finding 2, or you can just leave it there. But that's what's officially being approved. And, if you said something 10 minutes ago in your discussion, if it's not captured in the motion, it's almost like it doesn't count. So just
Right.
think about your motion and the process.
Okay, so I guess what's frustrating is I've been interrupted several times and I just want to finish my thought and I'm being interrupted so you don't hear the whole thought and you're judging me. And that's specifically what you did. And you're right, because I whipped myself up pretty bad for the last couple of weeks thinking I was a total idiot for getting personal. So I take it to heart that it's a learning process for me and you are on a learning process too. But the thing is to be respectful. You don't have to like me, but you can be respectful. And so what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to overwork staff, but I think on the short-term issue, if the council, which they did bring up, bringing together a committee of 2 council, 2 of us, planning commission, and then 2 community, potentially. I didn't stay for a vote on that. But if we wanted one of us to have to go back and do history and pull up the historical record. What, you want me to go back to the meeting, or one of us to go back to the meeting and listen to some videos, recordings at that, and try and transcribe them and bring them? I'm just saying, if you look at some of our prior notes, we did document, this was said, this was agreed upon. At least what our findings, I guess it's what our findings and decisions were, is what I'm asking that we record, not every comment that's being made, just the salient point, because
That's what we're
then,
trying to make the actual findings that you made were the motion. That,
well,
the
I
other
guess
part-
then our motion was lacking based on the conversation.
And so
That was my
what,
motion.
what I do
We
as
got you.
staff is I draft a resolution and I fill in the findings the best I can based
Okay.
on what I am recommending to the
Okay,
planning commission or city council. So for example, with the short-term rentals, I was recommending approval. So I drafted the findings in a positive light. If I was recommending denial, I would draft them in a, we can't make this finding. This finding cannot be made because X, Y, Z. So I think maybe, and that what we just did with this variance, where I asked Robert to say, I move to approve the variance based on the findings outlined in the resolution. And so if, like, for example, we couldn't make those findings, you would say, I move to, based on this finding, like this finding is incorrect in the resolution,
okay.
to deny the project, or, add something, and maybe you think of something for the findings that I didn't think of, or you say, well, Aaron, yeah, you're right.
Well, we made it bad. I'm not going to call anything bad. What I have to say is, it seems like we're all on a learning curve. And the council was under the impression that we only made a decision on one and didn't have any of these other factors. So scrap it. We don't want detailed notes. That's fine. We don't want to change the minutes to include the other things. Fine, because that wasn't our motion. But I do have to say, we shouldn't be in so much of a hurry that we have to put an appeal on before the city council sees final approved minutes. So that means it would have to be 2 minutes after, 2 meetings after.
So I understand.
Otherwise, they're not
That's-
getting the information
That's,
from the
that's,
council.
that's too long of a delay, though. I mean, the applicant has the right to appeal, and then it has to be heard.
And
So the minutes
Yeah.
probably won't, because you guys only meet once a month. It'd be more than 2 months
to
before.
make it as easy for the council as I could, where I linked the recording and where the timestamp was to start listening, because really that's how they're going to get a true understanding of the discussion, the comments from the community members, your discussion. And so, I mean, because the minutes they would have gotten still wouldn't have given them the real information.
So what I'm hearing is you don't see a value in having final minutes. My concern is, how does the council, which, when it sounded like we weren't being valued as a commission, one of the commissioners actually said, we value our commissioners and the work that they do. But based on the information, it only said, we rejected the proposal based on one, which showed that we didn't have much of a conversation. There was nothing. It was like a nothing burger for just saying number one.
I don't want to interrupt you, but can I speak?
Yeah, but
Just a few things. Because I don't want to interrupt anyone. This is our time to
No,
speak, and
no.
I apologize for using up your guys' time. But I did want this kind of stated so it wouldn't stew. I know I personally listened to council minutes after the fact. I know Lucy was mentioning on the minutes that they can see, it clearly does show a link. I highly recommend for the city council to watch those if they want more detail, because I know I've talked to city council members who have watched them because they can't be here every time in person. But I watch city council. I really appreciate both of you showing up and speaking for us. But this is where we speak, and this is where they hear that discussion more than a quick agenda. I mean, because that's just not, our tone isn't portrayed in the minutes. Every discussion that anyone out there has is not going to be reflected in the minutes. If really, to get the depth of it, you watch this. And that's just quick action notes. It's very basic, just kind of tells you what happened. This is where you really do. And I know I have, like, Jim Avnicar watches these online all the time just because he's bored. But hey, it gets people notified what's going on.
Okay.
So this is where we talk. That's just.
All right.
Maybe
just-
propose like a middle ground, like there was a lot of additional instructions. I know, Tom, you've been pushing all of us to have a say and tell us why we do or don't want to. In those situations where there are differing to the final motion, can you just put a note there saying additional items addressed by Commissioner blah, 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 click, view video. So it's one sentence. We're not discussing what it is, but you're alluding to a further discussion.
Yes, but I'd also say, I mean.
It's tough.
And
Yeah,
it's
right.
clear and we just need to be better at this, is when we say, hey, I find this finding and this finding and this, and truly be specific in our motions. We just need to get better at that. And that's just us to grow on.
And I think it's really helpful, like while you're debating, if you can get some alignment between each other. So even before you made the motion, Laura could say, look down the row and say, I'm really not feeling finding 2. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And you guys can say, I agree.
Okay.
And then when you make the motion, it's really clear. It's in the record. And again, just on the short-term rental topic, I think, again, it's not agendized, but just so you guys know, and again, I think you might have left after that first item, the council upheld your denial on the first one. They approved the second one. And then we had a discussion about updating the ordinance. They did not form this committee. They asked staff to come back with a draft ordinance. They also asked to come back in November with a short-term rental to consider passing a moratorium on short-term rentals. So that's not passed yet, but they asked for it to come to them. So that will come in November, and then we'll start working on an ordinance specifically.
But didn't they ask that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, didn't they ask that if any applicants came, city staff would kind of let them know that was coming down the pipes? I know you
Yeah,
mentioned.
there's a little question about like, well, if somebody makes a deposit.
Yeah.
So if somebody puts deposit down, they would be first in line when the ordinance happens, or they could be told that it's likely that there'll be a moratorium, so you might just want to wait. So it's kind of up to them.
Okay. Or we appreciate that. Sorry.
So, sorry, I just wanted just more detail about the draft ordinance. City staff are drafting the ordinance.
Well, the council spent literally a year on red lines of an ordinance that was
Right.
drafted by the city attorney, and they couldn't agree to it. So we're going to bring some examples from some other cities. We're also going to bring back that draft, see again if the majority of them are aligned. The problem is, it takes 3 of the 5. So,
It's a different city council too. This.
yeah.
Okay. All right. I also use a different frame of reference, having been on more policy groups, work groups and everything. And I know the minutes were always critical. I know there's people that aren't as good. Plus, but I worked at the state level. We did everything possible to disseminate information so people would readily read it and try to be more participatory and informed. And I've never heard of asking somebody to listen to a tape, audio tape. I have, there has been video access, much more distributed, but it was always like hard written notes, which this community still are because of the age of the population that defer to written material as more of a premium source. I'll say that. And then the other reason is it was obvious not all members of the council had listened to it. And that's the only reason I ask it. But I brought it to the fore and I thought for what I thought was important. We don't think it's important. That's fine. And I do think it's important that I wish that if it, not every issue, but if there is something that we think is important, that it would have slightly more documentation in the minutes in case we need to refer back to them in the future instead of trying to go back and listen to an audio recording and trust that somebody has good transcription notes and all that, and then wait for somebody to volunteer to do that, to bring it forward. or it just won't be available. So
I
I
will
just
be-
don't think of it as good
Yeah.
policy.
So I understand what you're
Just being
saying, Laura.
humane.
Laura, appreciate your comments, but yeah, but I also just want to make sure you understand that even if we had had verbatim minutes,
Yeah.
the only thing that mattered was the motion.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, council could have read that somebody in the audience said this, but I mean, like I think Tommy said it well, you don't get the tone, you don't get the other things.
That's the big thing. And I guess I would ask if at all possible, just making sure it's like, I know you guys stopped him a few times, people would speak out there. I know can be bad sometimes not speaking to the mic. Some of the city council I could barely hear. So it's just how important it is for us just to make sure our microphones are on and we're speaking clearly. Because I refer stuff back years in the past sometimes and watch these.
Okay, let's get to my last issue then. All right, so when I was at the meeting, one thing that just shot out at me, but some of it is I don't have the confidence of some of the things that I say, and I know I'm a very passionate person. I don't want to apologize for it because of that, I've gotten things through in front of the Senate and all kinds of people that I've been called to speak upon issues, but I'm better when I'm prepared and organized, not flying off the hook, being focused, but it's because I'm committed to an issue that helps, like you said, the tone and other things contribute. But anyhow, I do recognize I get that way, and I don't really want to apologize for being me, but I will try and be better with what
I
you
know
said over here, that I don't want to I should keep personal issues and stuff out of my conversations. I agree.
in the past, they would offer to send planning commissioners to trainings. I don't know. I was offered years ago and I don't have time to go to Sacramento for 2 days. Is that still something that is offered?
I can look for it.
There might even be something online. But
Yeah.
anyhow, back to this, because I know everybody wants to go, is that at the meeting, when the appeal process for 23 Main came up, what was distributed was the actual municipal code for them to consider in the appeal process. However, our resolution language that we put within the documents for us to consider that we've been using to guide our decision-making process are 1 through 5 below on the same page that I have here. And if you look at them, they're totally and completely different. Not totally, but way different. And number 5 is totally incorrect because the general plan says nothing about short-term lodging or visitor lodging. It doesn't address short-term rentals whatsoever. So that isn't even a correct statement. So what I'm asking, since it was given to the city council to conform their decision-making process, and it also takes into account our general plan and issues that I brought up, like our other commissioner down here said to me, that I brought up issues that weren't even salient, unbeknownst to me, because I didn't prepare enough for the last minute. They were salient per the general plan, which was the historical nature of preserving the historical nature of Sutter Creek. And that went beyond just the commercial district. So that's one issue I wanted to bring up. The other was, I gave some background on what the general plan does. While it does not address the issue of short-term rentals,
Lord,
it,
could I ask?
yeah,
Maybe we have a chance to review this.
okay,
Talk about this next time, because I'd love to read through this. I just.
no.
So
want to
Laura,
do
I
it
think,
right now.
I think you made an excellent point. I think Aaron and I will talk. I think if I hear what you're saying when we quote the ordinance, we should just quote the ordinance. And then if staff is a reason for approving or denying, that should be separated out from, say, the findings, like it kind of got mixed together, right? And then,
I mean, I like
Yeah.
supporting
yeah,
documentation to the findings.
but we should probably say, these are the findings and this is our reasoning and not mix them together. And then the other part is the general plan has a lot of different sections.
Yeah.
And you can find a lot of different, based on your point of view, really from staff, we should be looking at the ordinance. We can tell you what some of these programs and things are. They're not all implemented. And again, what we try to do is write a staff report that presents our opinion. If you're not going to take that opinion, then you kind of have to come up with a reason. So that's the difference, right? So you could say our general plan talks about the importance of historic structures separate from the economic development, which talks about tourism, and that they're both right? And it's really kind of what you want to make the decision based on. And you guys decided you wanted to make it on the other one and overruled the staff recommendation, which is fine. But
Yeah, but I think,
What's interesting though, is that the applicant for Main Street was saying she would be using this money to preserve the historical
I know.
nature of that house. Whether that is true or not, I mean, it's like, so I hear that and then I can say that, oh yeah, that we should be encouraging the restoration and maintenance of historical buildings or sites. Okay, so she's gonna be making money to do that, right? It seems like that could be like, check, that finding is made, or that, what was that? That's a policy, like, we're complying with that policy.
Yeah.
But like Tom said, yeah, you can almost pick out, you can direct the policies in almost all different directions.
well, the one thing I want to add is I think no matter what, it was provided the real municipal code, what is the existing municipal code. Items A through C, the top paragraph, for their consideration in this appeal. But we were using what's below and we have been using them. It didn't really matter before until we got an anomaly that we've never addressed, which one of the grand ladies on Main Street, which we preserve, consider as part of the whole historic, and we do have a designated historic district. So I don't know, maybe just, and I'm not going to say any more after this, but it kind of goes along with what I thought I was hearing at the meeting, the city council meeting is, we use those if we're going to redraft an ordinance, we should minimally have what municipal code is and then add to it. For example, one of the things that is missing, and I agree with, what staff has to say, is making sure that we recognize the importance of providing visitor lodging to promote and encourage commercial activity in the community. So I do think we should have that as something that guides our decision-making policy, but the other ones should mirror what is being asked the city council to use. We should be hand in hand with city council on that and then add to it, because the lawyer did bring up more than once, because I guess, it could have been a hot issue, is we can go outside the boundary of an ordinance if we feel like we should. But I think we need to justify the decision, because there might be some unique one-off that we've never thought about. And then when we do that, it's not illegal to do that and inappropriate to do that. And so you can do that. However, if we do it, let it be known, it'll probably go through an appeal process, and then the city council will probably have to just make a decision on that. So I'm just thinking what I heard, and I would like, because in the end, number 5,
What you're
what the
saying.
municipal code is what they
Like
use.
to agendize us talking about this more
Okay, then
in
let's
depth
agendize it
for next month.
for next
That
month.
would work.
That would work. And then is that something that if we want to conform it, is that something you can make a decision on, or is there some other process? Because I don't even know how we got these that are resolution language and how they differ so significantly.
And that's what Aaron was saying. That's kind of just city staff tries to boil. I mean, obviously, we are here to look at municipal codes, but there's many of them. They kind of boil it down a little bit and give their guidance. That's just their guidance. We can go outside of that, but it just makes it so we don't have to read thousands of pages to try and make our own decisions.
So I have a question. I'm looking at today's packet, and I'm presuming, Aaron, you prepared that, right? And it has, in the findings section, starting on page 9, there's the hyperlink to the actual code section. And then the code section looks like it's spelled out. And then in italics, the resolution language is prepared. Am I reading that correctly? That the italics is basically
It's
the,
like my staff's explanation of why that finding can be made.
and that's somewhat like a suggestion for somebody to move that we prove it based on
Yeah.
this kind of language if we choose.
A perfect planning commission world, you would read that they're finding a, exceptional, extraordinary circumstances, and you would say there are exceptional, extraordinary circumstances applicable to this property, blah, 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 blah.
So was it not presented that way at the hearing for 23 Main Street? Because I wasn't here that day, but
It was not spelled out like that, no.
okay. And
But it
so-
was it was for the city council.
okay, so if it's spelled out like today's hearing in the future, is that going to satisfy your concern on that?
Yeah.
Because it looks like it kind of does, but I wasn't here last time. That's what threw me.
Well, I think it is a learning process, and if we have something different than what the city council, I would argue, why are we doing it different when they were asked to measure it against this? And they made their decisions based on the 5 that are municipal code, and they didn't use what we've been using. And a big part of my argument, which got into the personal and heated, I agree, at the last meeting about 23 Main, was all due to the historical nature and preserving, which is a huge part of the general plan.
So I'm going to speak to the findings that were included in the planning commission report. These are the same findings that I've included in all of the short-term rental planning commission.
Agreed.
And they are, instead of listing the finding from the municipal code, then the italic portion of this is why the finding can be made, it has all just been incorporated into one sentence.
Got it, okay.
And so I take a resolution from another CUP for short-term rentals, I update it because it has the same kind of language. And so it may just, as it has been updated time and time again, now it feels like it's not appropriate. We think that it's easier to have the word for word spelled out from the municipal code with the reasoning behind it as its own line too.
I mean, I like today's structure for what that's worth.
Yeah.
And
But I didn't understand, what is it that you like?
Well, in today's packet, the entire code section is spelled out verbatim, and then each paragraph has its own italicized suggested finding
So
for us to consider. And then if we agree with that, we can make our motion saying we move, which is the motion I made today. It was,
see Laura, on the screen here, this is
Yeah, that
for
helps.
today's thing.
Okay,
It's word for word the ordinance, which is what you were asking for.
okay,
And then Aaron's commentary is in italics, so it's separated. Where again,
Just
we're just going to do it differently, right? And the short-term rental, we just kind of merge those together. And you didn't like that, I understand that. So I think we're good.
And that I did it differently for the city council.
yeah. And I think what I feel comfortable is being on the same page as the citizen. So I agree, I like this format.
So we'll just try.
And I just don't, I just want to make sure if they are looking to us, because each one of us was appointed by a member of the city council, and they look to us as handling this, if you will, for them, instead of them having to deal a lot of these issues as part of what they rely on us to do, is a good job with that work, is that when appeal comes to us, that we're all looking at an elephant instead of a pig and an elephant or whatever. So I agree, that's fine. You changed the format, so.
We'll do it next time.
That's good.
So probably we don't need to agendize this for next meeting then, since we talked about it this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just getting out there, we can go above and beyond based on the attorney.
Yep.
Which, I think a lot of this is good for us to grow and develop as a council, because there is that uneasiness of knowing what you can or can't do. When I learn a lesson, then it's like, okay, now I know, so I don't have to bring it up again, or.
Yeah,
This
and you
gives me-
can always,
yeah.
you can always
Yeah.
apply additional conditions to a project. take conditions away. You can
Yeah.
continue and ask for more information. I don't want anyone to think that their only options are approve as presented or deny. You can say, yeah, Aaron, I agree, we should approve, but we need to add this condition, this condition, this condition.
And we have in the past.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good discussion. Thanks, everyone. for
I
doing
think
it.
it's helpful too, knowing that the city council reviews this stuff de novo. So our record doesn't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we deny something based on subparagraph B, they can still deny it if they disagree on B, but think C and D are good reasons. So
Yeah.
we don't have to be perfect.
Exactly. You're the first line
Yeah.
as it is.
Well, I think that comes up like that 23 Main. It was like we've never had one of those stretch of houses come up before, so.
Okay, well, I have a hungry, pregnant wife at home, so if there's nothing else, I will close this meeting.